Welcome everyone to the LEC post-game lobby. I'm Sjokz, joined by Frosk and by Rogues. Finn. Hello, Finn. Is everything working?
Hello. I think it's working fine. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We
Perfect.
can see you, so that's great. We're going to talk about your game a little bit, but first I'd like to button up Fnatic versus OG. Were you able to watch it, or were you still in your team talks just now?
I was able to watch the later half of it and parts of it, but I mean, I was just really impressed by how OG played. I think they looked really, really strong this game, and I think Fnatic's draft was slightly questionable, but OG certainly abused, I think.
So would you say that you were surprised? Like if you had a scale like 1 to 10, 10 being very surprised, 1 being not surprised, where did OG fall in terms of beating Fnatic on that scale?
I mean, I still think it's early season, so anyone can really beat anyone. It's hard to say, so I'm not too surprised.
Solid 5.
Considering the draft, I would give OG the edge. Yeah, I would say 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5. Well, it has probably been a surprise to the Fnatic fans at least. And Frost, the way I see it also for OG is that we kept saying, okay, where did they actually end up in the standings? And yes, it's only best of ones, but now they have beaten G2 and they've beaten Fnatic, so that says something.
I mean, does it? Or does it say that our top 3 are actually the weaker teams and now you have like the Mad Lions and the Rogues who are showing like more consistency?
Maybe, I don't know. So here you have some images from that game. In the end, Frost, what do you think was the defining moment? And I actually also want to ask you about the mid lane because you brought up Nemesis' champion pool. What do you think of the Echo?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I think you brought up that Selfmade made a tweet, and he basically said like we were experimenting some things. It's fine. It's still early on. Finn just talked about how like everyone can be everyone right now because it is early weeks. I don't necessarily mind when teams go more experimental into theoretically harder opponents, because you kind of want to save your for sure strategies for the teams that you should be.
This was definitely experimenting.
I know that clearly experimenting right there. But I don't know, I agree with Finn. I'm not a super big fan of Fnatic's drafting. I hate how they seem to always fall into kind of like these gimmicks, like the Yuumi Garen type of thing. Now it's the Soraka into the bot lane. And I think it just feels bad when Selfmade, he's an amazing Graves player, but Selfmade is basically playing your ADC when you have Reckless on your team. Let one of the best ADCs in the world just play ADC.
Yeah, that is a good point. Upset there going off, and he will also be the key player of the game with 65% of the votes. Finn, we see a lot of experimenting from a lot of teams coming into the beginning of the split. Would you say for Rogue it is the same, or are you trying things that you're used to trying?
I think for us, we're kind of playing what we think works right now. Maybe this won't be the thing we'll be playing by the end of the split, but for now I think we're kind of playing similar stuff every game. We're playing the strong bot lanes, the weak side top lanes, the control matches mid. Even though our champions may vary, I think the style we play is very similar every game. So,
in terms of the meta discussion, and Finn, obviously I don't want you to reveal all of your strategies, but can you kind of walk me through what your responsibility right now is in this meta as a top laner? Are you like, I'm here to create zone control because it's all about 5v5, I'm here to play the tanks, or do you think we're going to see some of those more Aatrox carry-oriented pop-off performances from you?
I think right now what seems to be working a lot is playing around the strong bot lane, which is why I think blue side is a bit stronger, because you can always first pick the strongest AD. And when you really want to play around your bot lane, you kind of want the self-sufficient top laner. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't play carries top, but you don't want the top laner that's going to soak all the jungle attention and mid lane attention. So that's why champions like GP, Ornn, Maokai, even Aatrox in a way, and Wukong, which don't really need help but can take it, are being played a lot. And I think if the meta changes, we're going to see a change in champion pool, but right now I think this is what's the strongest.
Do you think that shifted into your style naturally? Because Rogue, you guys were always quite good at playing the map, kind of playing that more slow or more scaling, but that fit into your strengths. Did it shift into you guys, or do you guys think that it's your development that has allowed you to rise so quickly?
I think we all kind of accepted our roles right now, and we're kind of trying to make sure that we all know what to do in game, whether that is like playing weak side or strong side. But for us, I think it's quite natural, yeah. I don't mind being put on low resource champions as long as we are able to consistently generate advantages both sides. So for us, I think it's quite nice.
Sorry to cut you off there. Finn, you've often been described as a team as kind of OG light, or, you know, paraphrasing like a worse version of OG, but right now you're also doing incredibly well. How do you react to kind of getting compared to OG, and do you think that is correct, or do you think your style is actually different?
I do think we prefer to play a bit slower, similar to OG, but it's hard to call us an OG light, because I think we're also more willing to make proactive plays and play around with Fog of War, whereas OG is more kind of, you know what play they'll make. I think we still have more rooms to make explosive stuff, whether that is a crazy fight or like a surprise pick. But then again, like every team is different, and OG is not really a team that only plays passive as well. They are quite a good team at pushing advantages. So I think we're two different teams, but we prefer the same play style.
In terms of losing a game today, and then kind of the huddle that goes after, can you maybe walk us through what's happening immediately after loss? Do you guys go back to each other? Are you talking to each other, or is it everyone has like a cool-off period?
I think for us at least, we always try to review the game and see what really we did well and what we did wrong, trying to pinpoint the point where the game really was decided. I think our game against G2 had like 3 or 4 key moments in the game where it could have shifted to either side. But yeah, I think every team does it differently. Maybe some teams prefer to take a more quiet approach to it and maybe watch it the day after when the feelings are cooled down a bit, but I don't think that's a problem for us.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested in that process a lot, and of course, I know you can't reveal too much specifically, but is there anything you can share that was particularly interesting about kind of your review after the loss to G2?
Well, I think the G2 game kind of went bad for us really early. During this bot fight, there was a lot of miscommunication, and we weren't really sure. We weren't really on the same page, which was the major issue at hand. And I think that really snowballed into a lot of other issues that kind of spread around the map very fast, and we kind of lost control really fast. For example, we had struggles. We were struggling to get the proper vision set up against G2, and that kind of meant that the Rek'Sai, while she was just farming, she was still exerting a lot of pressure on both the side lanes. And if you add this up with a Twisted Fate, they can always ult to whichever side is fighting. It was really hard for either of the side lanes to actually take a fight or even walk up, because the pressure of the dive or the use collapse was always there.
When you talk about some of these comm issues, can you share maybe who is one of the stronger voices in your comms? I mean, I would assume it'd be a veteran like Vander, but is everyone kind of piling in, or do you guys have like a definitive shot caller who's leading the team?
I think it's more for us that whoever is strong is usually the one talking the most. And early game, this is usually Inspired, because the jungler, I think, early game has the most agency on what to do. And then, I mean, of course, everyone gives input, but in the end, I think Inspired and the laners decide where we go. And then as we transition into mid-game, whether it's me, Hans, or whether it's me, Larsen, or our bot lane, like the strong guy in the team, which we want to play around, is usually the one dictating the pace.
That's interesting. That's now twice we've heard that. Yesterday, Carsey also said it also comes down to who's the strongest in the game. Do you think that's kind of new age, new team philosophy of shot calling, or is that something that's been around?
Because you think about like the old school days
callers
with like Mad Life and High and just kind of like puppeteering everyone. I think almost in the sense of Moscow 5 and Gambit used to talk about how everyone would kind of throw in, and that was kind of like the joke that you're asking basically like the left wheel where you want to go instead of asking the driver. But I think with all of the new talent coming in, we had Febivin and Dan on the couch last split, and they were talking about, you know, when you have these news guys come in with all of these new ideas, it adds fresh life into the team. And so I know that Rogue, you guys are quite a young team outside of Vander and Han Sama. Are you guys like constantly thinking about new picks or new ways to innovate on the game? Can you maybe share like who some of your leaders are outside of the game? Maybe like in your scrims, your practice about what your strategies are? Not necessarily what the strategies are,
what
but
are your strategies?
Who's coming up with the strategies?
I think a lot of us like to watch different regions. I think a lot of people in our team, especially Inspired, me and Larsen, we all watch a lot of Korea and China. And we're always trying to, especially Inspired, likes to bring up new picks and likes to say that, oh, this is so broken, that it eventually became kind of a problem for us, that we were just trying new picks every day because Inspired thought it's broken. And then we kind of had to tune it down for this split. But I think we're still always looking to be ahead of the meta, always looking to find what's actually strong, not just trying to follow what everyone else in Europe is playing.
What's your opinion on Volibear? Do you think he's strong? Are we going to see Finn come out on the Slappy Bear?
I think he has a place in the meta. I think he's a powerful champion, but I think he's similar to a Pantheon maybe, that you really need to make the most out of him or he's gonna fall off a cliff.
Mm-hmm. But could also be very strong. Now, you guys have been doing fantastically well. Despite the loss to G2 earlier after 2 weeks of play, Rogue is in first place, along with the Mad Lions. Frosk, that's pretty damn crazy.
I think we constantly come into the split and we're just like, EU rookies, man, or the rookies are rising up. And it felt like the taste was when Mad Lions took down G2 in that best of 5. But now, Rogue have an incredible showing. Mad Lions are quite explosive. G2, Fnatic, and Origen feel like they're in this rock, paper, scissors of who is going to beat who. So even just looking at that, I'm like, you at least have 5 really strong teams. And Finn, outside of kind of those 5, so the rest are like the Misfits, the Vitality, the SK, who do you think kind of comes next in terms of taking that last spot for playoffs?
It's really hard to say. I still think Misfits is gonna clutch it in the end, just because of their players and the experience. I think their bot lane is gonna grow even more. With the Kobe and DOS becoming more of a central point in the team. And I think for playoffs, they're going to be more consistent and pick up more wins. But as of now, I mean, honestly, anyone can do it. I think Vitality also has a really good shot. They look good. I think their bot lane is really good. Cowboy is really good. It's really hard to say this early.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, it's hard for us too, but it's very exciting to see kind of that all these teams are coming out of the woodwork and playing so well. Now, Finn, a bit of an elephant in the room is that Rogue has gotten to playoffs consistently, is now in first place, but does still drop those games more often than not against the number 1s and the number 2s in the ranking, and then a G2 and a Fnatic when it really matters. Of course, this is only a best of 1, but how much do you really take away from that, and how much is that a specific goal that you're going to have to take down these guys if you want to make it to the playoffs and to Worlds?
Well, I think for us, we're not really happy with being first now because we've had a really easy schedule compared to other teams. We really need to start beating Mad and the G2 and Fnatic and OG if we want to actually see ourselves as a top team. So before we do that, we can't really say that we're like a great team. So I think the next coming weeks are really important for us to show that we can actually compete among the best, because this loss to G2 really hurts us a lot. It was kind of a good chance to show that we belong at the top, but we kind of fell short again. So we need to keep trying hard and keep reaching.
Can you see now how you can turn that into motivation just for the next coming weeks? Because it's not just any couple of games. At the end of this is Worlds, not just the playoffs. How is your focus? Because I can imagine you're always thinking about wanting to get to Worlds as a young player, but you kind of also have to keep your eye on the next games and on the playoffs. How do you keep that separated, yet also focusing on those long-term goals?
Well, I think for us it just comes focusing really hard on from week to week. We need to make sure that we can win every game we can, due to the importance of regular splits and importance of seeding in playoffs. That means that if you lose or like drop a lot of regular season games, it's going to make it a lot harder for you to go to Worlds. So for us, our main focus is just getting the victories every week, day in, day out. And whether that is playing like the same comp or whether that is playing what works for us, we're just going to do it. We're not going to experiment too much, I think. Not saying that we won't play new stuff, but we're always going to play something that we know very well.
Try your hardest on stage. Now, I know that you've said repeatedly that everyone is kind of beating everyone. If you had to pick kind of who is the scariest team right now in the LEC, do you have one?
I think G2. I think the way they play with Fog of War is just unmatched in the league right now. They just exert so much pressure in every lane that it can still be hard to keep up with them. And we kind of fell short today. Whereas I think OG and Fnatic have bigger weaknesses where you can exploit them. I think G2 shows very little room to punish. So I think for sure they are the strongest. But I mean, anyone can really take that spot.
Are you following that line of reasoning there about G2 Fnatic OG, Frosk?
Yeah, I'm actually really happy that Finn brought up Fog of War and the pressure game that G2 do. Finn, I don't know if you've listened to us, but we've been complimenting Rogue's ability to play around Fog of War and your guys' pressure game pretty much all day. I feel like it's been a huge level up in your guys' macro strategy since last split. And I was really excited to see how you guys would deal with a team like G2, who kind of pioneered, at least for the LEC, how to play around Fog and how to play that pressure game.
Yeah, I think we're really good at playing when we're ahead. I think we're really good at playing when we have a lead and we're very comfortable in the game. But sometimes the game really does fall short, and you don't really get the advantage that you get always. Like today, we kind of didn't really know how to approach the situation when they were just controlling all the lanes, and I think that really made us lose harder than we should have. So that's really an area where we need to work on, because you can't really guarantee a goal advantage every game. That's not how the game works.
No, that's not how the game works. Lovely that you are keeping track of all those things and looking for the, well, the further evolution of Rogue for sure. Let's also take a look at the Kia player of the game leaderboard. I don't know if you're on it. I don't think so, actually. But Kavi is leading, then Humanoid, Crown Shot, Upset, and Larson. So it's Larson who's on the board. Is that deserved, Finn?
Yes, definitely. I think even last split I robbed him of some MVPs, because I was like playing the guitar and Mordekaiser and people thought I was 1v9ing, but he surely deserves it. I think he played really well the last games, especially those we won.
Yeah, it's not always about the skill.
Can't say much else.
It can just be about the emotes or about the guitar, indeed. And also when you're stuck on tank duty, like, what are you gonna do? Frosk, what do you think of the leaderboard so far?
I think it's a lot of 80 carries, and I think it makes sense. We've been saying it all day. There's like so many good 80 carries in the game right now. Feels like one of the most OP champions, if not one of the most OP roles.
Yeah, so that'll almost be it's rather for us next Friday, though. The LEC will continue. Shut up. With Schalke Nilfear versus XL Esports, it all builds up to our match of the week, which is G2 versus Fnatic on Saturday. Taking a sneak peek there, we have Fnatic versus Rogue on the first day. Wow, the strength of schedule is really hitting you guys hard now, Finn. What can you say about that match versus Fnatic next week?
I think it's gonna be a good game.
Hopefully.
I think the team that comes in better prepared for the other team's draft is gonna win. Fnatic has shown to be very experimental this week, so I think they're gonna take a step back and go back to what they know will work against us. So we just need to make sure we're ready to deal with whatever they're going to send our way.
Yeah, it might be a really spicy one. Finn, before we let you go, since we miss you at the studio and all of you, we're going to take a quick selfie with you. So don't hang up on us. That would be really, really embarrassing.
Okay.
Pick your pose, Finn.
Pick your pose. Think about it. It's really important. Oh, yeah, should actually put it on selfie. Okay, Boomer. Right. Are you ready, Finn?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Finn. Lovely talking to you and getting some more insight. Good luck next week versus Fnatic, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. That's also going to be all from us here in week 2, but across the Atlantic, the LCS has already started with Team Liquid versus, oh, there's a chair, versus 100 Thieves. We'll be back next Friday for more League of Legends. See you then.
Special's waiting in the wings. Cagel's just got caught out. He's taken up, but look at Christ. He's pushing the bottom wall. Patrick with the Moonlight Vigil, turning the lights off on SK Gaming.
Whereas Misfits are going to threaten the top tower, and Engage is coming out from Neon.
So much damage. Who engaged on whom, though? Copy through the exhaust is going to look to chase down, and Dreams with the Moonlight Vigil.
Meanwhile, Humanoid's trying to win a 2v1, but Comp jumps over him. And Humanoid just deletes Comp. Oh, but they catch him. Comp, Temper Fate unleash power. With blocked by the Temper Fate, but Comp is going to get caught out. He tries to get around with the Kinetic, he's still alive. Knocked back with the Dragon's Rage, but Comp does not manage to survive. And that's it. It's done, Mad Lions. And Rogue should be able to get back underneath their turret here. Caps does have the gold card, the Call of the Forge card coming out as well. Jankos ulted, and death is defied as he gets underneath the tower. Mickey goes golden, Jankos survives. Larson caught out his face as well as Cap splashes forward. And G2 might not have got the dragon, but they darn well got the fight. No wonder. Okay, he just jumps on in. Unsummer and Finn gonna, Finn gonna try and defend.
Vander's not here.
Vander is not here to save Unsummer, and even the Forge God will not save you now.
And welcome back to the LEC. Sorry. Hi, Deficio, by the way. Hi, Alfari.
He will delay Fanatic from pressing any further forward.
And
no, he won't. Oh, Selfmade. Selfmade's dead.
Oh, we missed everything.
Dead.
He should. Oh, behind the tower.
Oh, that's beautiful from Destiny.
Unbelievable.
Unstoppable Force comes out from that fire. They look for the kill on Quipo. Already is down. The host gonna land as well as Hillesang gets scored out. But a 3-man stop with the power conversion. Oh, the shockwave! And now it's not enough to try and turn it around. Double kill for him as he jumps forward. Reckless gonna fall next. It's upset. That's the triple. Here comes the shockwave onto Nemesis. He's done as well. Before he can even Chrono break out. And now it's all on Selfmade. You gotta make this fight work with Fanatic if you're gonna manage it, because Reckless is still alive on the backline. Hillesang goes forward, but he's gonna die as well. Upset takes a second of the fight, and now it's Reckless and Selfmade. It's all on them, but Origen find the fight that they were looking for in the bottom lane.